Welcome to MINDSHOCK. This is your host, Bruce McGuire. We are taking a look at the recent arrest of the Tate brothers. One, Andy Tate and Tristan Tate. I mean, clearly crimes against fashion have been committed, but have any other types of crimes been committed? That's what we'll be looking at in a typical MINDSHOCK fashion, with logic and reason at the forefront, unlike anything else out there, in what appears to be a stacking of psyops, perhaps unlike any other we have ever seen in the mainstream or on social media. If you want to help support the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Check the link in the description. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share. Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Patreon. Patreon's a good priority for case, topic, logical analysis, co-podcast requests. You could also be a guest in the podcast depending on your tier. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind, leave them in the comment section. Unless, of course, you are with us here live, then drop them in the live chat. I'll try to get to all of them, and you can also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Help support the channel that way. So there's quite a few curiosities in everything about this situation. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen propaganda campaigns that have been launched as have been against Andrew Tate. I mean, Steven Seagal, the one and only Steven Seagal, has had an Illuminati campaign against him, a Matrix attack, if you will. You know, obviously, Donnie Trump as well, the Donald. But all of that seems to pale into comparison at the sheer level of retard maxers coming out of the woodwork hallucinating that due process is unnecessary. Hallucinating that these guys are definitively guilty on all charges. Not some, on all. Like, imagine the level of retard maxing. That to think that these guys are guilty of every single thing anyone has ever claimed against them. I mean, can you name a single person in the world? I mean, this is elementary school stuff. This is actually preschool level stuff. I mean, sometimes kids say another kid took their toy when they didn't. Like, it's to hallucinate that not a single false claim has ever been made about these guys. I mean, that's a kind of goofery we really haven't seen. The closest thing we've seen to this is possibly Trump derangement syndrome. But now we have Tate derangement syndrome. There have been no less than a dozen retard maxers cope spiraling for days on Twitter when I pointed out their illiteracy. I mean, these humiliation fetishists have nothing else to do than sit on Twitter all day, every day, pretending and hallucinating and cope spiraling when their goofery and illiteracy is pointed out. I haven't seen anything quite like this before. So are we dealing with psyops on top of psyops here? Because some people believe Andrew Tate himself is a psyop. So his father's in the CIA, red flag on the play. I mean, how many organic individuals have a father in the CIA? You know, it's just, it's suspicious. Let's put it that way. It's suspicious. Now, the other thing that's highly suspicious is that Andrew Tate might be one of the most intelligent individuals I have ever seen speaking. It's really weird. The guy's too smart, if you've listened to his interviews. Now, whether you think he's a criminal guilty of the most heinous crimes imaginable, maybe he is. Again, this is MINDSHOCK. I'm not claiming anything is true or untrue. All these retard maxers are going to hallucinate that I'm defending criminals. I'm not even saying whether they're criminals or not. Although I will give my opinion on that. I'll give a rare positive claim from Bruce McGuire. Because this is MINDSHOCK, where the only thing we know for sure is that we don't know anything for sure. I do have a rare opinion where, just based on all the evidence, I do have a positive claim opinion. I'll get to that later. But Yeah, obviously Andrew Tate's incredibly intelligent. His observations just about society, psychology, they are not organic observations from a man who's been kicked and punched in the head for a living. It just, there is no other. There is no other. I mean, the only person you can claim is close is Chael P. Sonnen. Undisputed and undefeated. I mean, that is one intelligent bastard, but he's nowhere close to the level of Andrew Tate. So, there's something highly inorganic about Andrew Tate, including the way he dresses. But, like, this entire persona of preaching masculinity while dressing like a metrosexual. Like, this is just weird. It's I think, I don't know, 99% of his persona might all be performative. And all these gullible retard maxers, I mean, they just can't grasp that people say things that aren't true for giggles. Just to watch people come around. Like, look at Donald Trump. Like, he's made a whole political career out of saying things just to laugh at the goofs that get triggered by them. True or not. Like, whether they're true or not isn't even part of the equation on the motivation behind it. But we're going to get into all of that and more. Let's watch the arrest video. Some people think this whole video is AI. You got Tate's disappearing foot. There's disappearing agents in the background. I mean, everything about this looks like a psyop, but the most curious and obvious thing about this is just the outpouring of retard maxers on social media condemning the Tates. Like, they're spending all day, every day, posting about their Tate derangement syndrome. And a lot of it is just like this weird psychological projection of their homo affection for the Tates. Like, they just can't stop. That's all that's in their deranged mind. It's really weird. We just haven't seen anything quite like this. So, let's look at the arrest video first. I wonder if we're going to have YouTube problems with the stream. I'm going to guess yes, due to the nature of the stream. So, okay, let's look at this. So these are supposedly U.S. Marshals, so they did not identify themselves in the video, although they might have before the video started. And is that Tristan Tate dressed like he's a 1940s gangster movie? Like, what is that? Like, this looks like a comedy skit. You got you got Andrew Tate. Who knows how many millions he's worth? So the Romanian. So here's the other thing that a lot of retard maxers, they pretend like the Tate brothers are broke or something. If you're broke, I mean, you're not building yachts, you're not traveling on private jets, you're not wearing all this designer clothes. But what's funny is, how many millions is this guy worth? So he left at least 12 million that they didn't even bother hiding, that the Romanian police were able to aggregate. So if you're that rich and you just have 12 mil casually lying around open in whatever assets, cash, whatever, that you don't even bother hiding. So how much money do you have? So, like, let's say you have $5,000 in your bank account as just some random Joe Schmo tax slave in the US of A. You'd feel comfortable leaving a penny out, right? Maybe even a nickel. Maybe even a dime or a dollar. What about $5? What about 20? Would you leave a 20 out? I don't know. Like, how many millions or hundreds of millions are you worth where you don't give a crap to just leave 12 mil lying around for anybody to find and estimate your net worth at? So, the other thing, which will tie into my opinion on this matter, clearly they're involved in a lot of crypto. Now, whether it's legitimate scheming or illegal scamming, either way, these guys have clearly amassed a lot of crypto. Whether it's millions, whether it's hundreds of millions, whether it's a billy, we don't know. I mean, just the amount that they've been on the internet. Would it surprise anybody if they have either schemed and or scammed their way into $1 billion in crypto equivalent assets. And then again, who knows what else they have between the cars and the homes, and then all the LLCs and all the unregistered, all the LLCs registered in other people's names and shell corporations. Like, when you get to a certain level, again, a lot of these, like, retard maxers, I don't know why they have this humiliation fetish where they just have to spend X amount of hours on the internet pretending that the Tate brothers are broke. Pretending that they're guilty of every single allegation. Not half, not 80%. Every single one. Really weird. Welcome, Christopher and Christopher Allen. Christopher says, dressing like that would make him quite the popular fairy in prison. Well, here's the thing, too. Like, say what you will about Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate. I mean, these guys were kickboxers. Yeah, you could say they weren't the absolute top ranked in the world, but they were the upper echelon. They were the upper echelon. Obviously, Andrew Tate a bit more than Tristan Tate. I'm not sure how many people would want to test themselves against it, especially knowing how rich they are and then the favors, everything that goes on in prison. Like, if you're rich in prison, you generally don't have problems, unless, of course, well, first of all, they're being kept in solid, like, we'll get into how they're being kept. It's really weird. Like, they're being kept in, like, some special housing unit, like, supposedly next to cannibals, but we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later. But yeah, like Mike Tyson said, nobody wanted to test him in prison, which is not surprising in the least, right? I forget if he said there was like one guard or something that might have been a problem. But I think he said that there were no inmates wanted to test Mike Tyson. I mean, no one. Who's surprised? But why would you step to a prime Mike Tyson? There'd be something seriously wrong with you. I mean, I suppose if you have a shank and there's like 8 of you and you want to shank Mike Tyson, I suppose. But just to start like an unarmed brawl, like, who would want to start an unarmed altercation with Mike Tyson? I mean, I don't know. But anyway, so supposedly they also said they had no problems in Romanian prison. Like, nobody tried to step to them or anything. And, yeah, I mean, clearly they're capable individuals. Say what you will. But, yeah, imagine being worth hundreds of millions of dollars or whatever. Between millions and hundreds of millions. Romanian police said 12 mil. So between 12 mil and who knows. I don't think he said he was a billionaire. So depending on how much you value his word, and that's another thing with this retard maxers, these Tate derangement syndrome goofs that we'll get to, they hang on his every word as if criminals are to be believed. I mean, these people have never heard of false confessions. They've never heard of the rap music genre. They've never even been on Reddit. Have you seen what some of these psychos brag about on Reddit? Killing people, etc. That's not evidence. That's called being an edgelord. Like, these retard maxers are just so bereft of basic logic and reason, preschool English level English comprehension. Just, there's nothing. But their dedication to humiliating themselves full time, day in, day out, I've never seen anything like this since Trump. So is that all by design? And so let's finish watching this video. I mean, just look at Tristan Tate here. He's like in a 1940s gangster movie. Andrew Tate, like some kind of metrosexual. Tristan Tate is dressed for a 1940s gangster movie. Like, you can't make this stuff up. And their bodyguard with this crazy beard. I mean, I don't know. That bodyguard looks less capable than both Andrew and Tristan Tate. Not that he's that old, but I mean, I don't know. I would have thought they could invest in like a larger man. Although if he's like former special forces or something, perhaps he's very skilled in other ways other than being physically imposing. But. I mean, I don't know what to make of this. It's almost like this was all staged, right? Like, they called Andrew and they were like, hey, listen, Andy, Make sure you wear something really snazzy, because we're going to come arrest you at this time. Make it look good. And I think this was some kind of bare-knuckle event that Andrew Tate was supposed to be co-hosting with John Jones. So, yeah, I don't know. This was outside the venue. So, taking his jewelry. So, there's at least 42 charges. I think that's been expanded to additional charges now. And again, how much of a retard maxer do you have to be to think that charges are equivalent to truth? Because without even getting into the amount of innocent people in prison, which could be upward of 40%, if you haven't checked out my wrongful conviction episodes, check those out. To be arrested, like plenty of people are arrested at allegations that aren't true. Welcome Karate Master 13 and Sandro. Sandro says this video is AI. Andrew's foot goes missing and there's a man that disappears. Yeah, we were looking at it right now. I'm not sure it's AI, but it appears to have some kind of AI manipulation. Like, I don't know if the whole video is AI or if it was AI edited. Like, there's more that was going on in the video, and then the video was manipulated. So Tristan Tate faces 17 charges. And so apparently Trump has said he will not stop the extradition to the UK. Which is curious. So they are dual citizens. So they are UK and US citizens. And these alleged crimes were allegedly committed in the UK against UK citizens, or mostly UK citizens. There's, again, they didn't name any of the accusers.
Tristan, anything to say?
I don't think this whole video is AI, because there's people filming from the sides and all that. But there appears to be some level of AI manipulation on the video. Either there was somebody there that they deleted and that's causing like weird effects, or something else. Because there's a few people here filming this on their phones, so... I mean, just, again, the fashion crimes committed here. I don't know if there's a defense for the fashion crimes. How many millions are you worth and you dress like that while preaching masculinity? Oh, man. Oh, man. Sandro says the Tate brothers are Romanian. Are they Romanian citizens as well? No, they aren't. So they only have dual citizenship. So they have residency in Romania. They are Romanian residents with dual US-UK citizenship. So the Brits issued 38 new charges. So under the previous, from what is known, supposedly the UK had stated that they would wait until the Romanian trial completes before either seeking extradition or whatever, before the next step against the Tates. So in Romania, so it's been quite a few years now where all of this supposedly legitimate bulletproof evidence has not resulted in a trial. So all the retard maxers that are hallucinating that the Tates are guilty of each and every charge, and it's not up for dispute, just conviction by media, trial by media, by public opinion. And obviously the public is pretty retarded. How often is the public right about anything? But anyway, I mean, these are horrific crimes, obviously. If true, obviously these guys should be hung. But, or, you know, have the family of the victims deal with them as they wish. As they wish. But the problem is due process has nothing to do with who is being charged. That's what retard maxers don't understand. Like all of these Tate derangement syndrome goofs that just came out of the woodwork the past few days since the arrest, like inorganically as well, like some kind of coordinated propaganda psyop against the Tates, who themselves might be a psyop. So we might be dealing with psyops on top of psyops here. So, yeah, what's curious here is that if the evidence really was bulletproof, why did no trial take place? Like, what is up? Like, they're entitled, no matter how evil of a scum you are, if you believe in any kind of justice system or court system, you have the right to face your accuser in court and have the charges be backed up with a little something called evidence. It seems like all of these anti-Tate goofs, they're allergic to the word evidence. They just can't handle that particular word. And they think humans talking is evidence. As if the words of humans can be trusted. Let's just go down a trip down memory lane real quick for the goofs that hallucinate that people saying things is somehow evidence. Now, obviously, like a lot of these retard maxers spam these diversion fallacies about how confession is admissible in court. Obviously, it's admissible. So is criminal history. But what you did 10 years ago, even though it can be admitted in court, that's not evidence or proof that you committed the crime you're being accused of in that moment, right? So for serial killers in the vicinity of a murder, I mean, obviously, you're going to want to pursue that avenue because they might be guilty. But you're not just going to assume, and whether let's say they admitted to doing it, which a lot of serial killers admitted to murders they never even committed. They just, they do it for kicks. But these retard maxers, they don't understand that the words of humans are not proof. That's why they have things called DNA evidence, security footage evidence. I mean, they have actual hard, real evidence that could potentially prove someone is guilty. That's what you need to focus on. So if you believe in due process instead of just locking people up on a whim for endless years, I mean, this kind of goofery is just incredible. I mean, it's just crazy. Like, is there a number? Should people just be held indefinitely? So in Romania, which obviously a very corrupt country, so it usually takes 1 to 2 years for criminal investigation. This is from Fair Trials. And so, yeah, they're kind of backwards. So they can actually hold you while looking for evidence. So it's the complete opposite of reasonable, articulable suspicion and just cause, etc. So they can just, somebody can make a rumor up, they could arrest you, seize your assets, and then look for evidence. So clearly Romania, one of the most corrupt human rights violating countries out there. And this is in the UN Declaration. This has nothing even to do with the United States. Like, the UN Declaration of Human Rights outlines due process and people being secure in their persons and property. I mean, this is UN Declaration of Human Rights for the goofs that aren't familiar. So total proceedings. So after an indictment, a preliminary chamber review takes up to 60 days, so it could be less, followed by the trial, which usually lasts between 6 to 24 months. So the total proceedings are 1 to 3 years. So Andrew and Tristan Tate were officially charged and indicted June 20th, 2023. So, and the trial, not only has a trial not started, they're not even close to starting a trial. Like, there's nothing. The case has been sent back to prosecution since it was bunk. Like, one would think if the evidence was legitimate, they would have went to trial, right? One would think. So, is this a case of corrupt, incompetent Romanian prosecutors, there's plenty of those in the US and every country, where they just assumed these alleged victims were telling the truth, and then once they dug into it more, let's say they either realized they were lying, or they realized there was no actual evidence and the evidence is not there and it wouldn't be there. So they just looked like silly goofs. But how often do government officials, prosecutors, judges, how often do these scum admit they're wrong? They hold their ego way higher than any kind of justice, just like in the U.S., just like in any country. So they just keep kicking it down the road, kicking the prosecutorial file back and forth. There's not even any plans for a trial in Romania. So if the evidence is that bulletproof, like the Tate derangement syndrome goofs allege, they would have already been tried and convicted. So this level of goofery, I mean, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what's going on. But let's just look at false confessions for a second here. For the goofs that hallucinate that the words of humans can be trusted in any direction. In any direction. So you have here, the majority of false confessions are actually in homicide cases, but there's still a bunch here. 63% of false confessions were under the age of 25, 32, okay. All persons arrested for murder and rape. 92% of false confessors are men. That's interesting. So 25% of DNA exonerations also included false confessions. So again, just then you have eyewitness issues. Like, it's just, we went over all of this. It's just the level of goofery from bootlickers who hallucinate that innocent people are never arrested or even confessed. Not that they... So, again, we'll get into what they were saying on video. But again, the words of humans can't be trusted. Like, how much of a retard maxer does one have to be to think, oh, well, we don't need security footage. We don't need DNA evidence. We don't need anything. As long as someone said something, put them in jail. Like, the level of gopher, can you imagine that level of retard maxer? We haven't seen anything like it before. Like, where else has this kind of goofery been present? I just haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. Sandro in the chat says, I think it's just an exercise to cancel them because of their anti-establishment views. Yeah, one would think, right? So a lot of the goofs say, oh, well, they're connected and rich. Well, connected rich people don't get arrested, right? Because their like, if the system is corrupt and they have friends in high places, they're the ones who don't get arrested. Just see the Epstein client list. And if their assets that are guilty, see, if they're guilty and their assets, then they would only be arrested when they were no longer useful. Again, see Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, etc. And they're being used as fall guys. But I'm not so sure that they're guilty, and we'll get into that. Or that they're guilty of what they're being accused of. So they might be guilty of many other crimes, which I'll get into. But so let's so here, false confession, a lot of cases involve false confession. But come on, even preschoolers know that sometimes people say things that aren't true. Even preschoolers know this. But Tate derangement syndrome goofs, apparently they think that it's not so. It's just kind of weird. It's just so weird. Here's another graphic illustrating this. You have eyewitness misidentification, unvalidated improper forensics, false confessions or admissions, and then informants or snitches. So again, if the state, the Matrix, so to speak, wanted to take these guys out, would they pay off ex-girlfriends or whatever, webcam models, to say things that aren't true? Again, the retard maxers, they can't consider the possibility the possibility that the state coerced or paid off victims, but they will consider the possibility that the Tates paid off victims to make, or whatever, whoever, make positive statements about them. Isn't that curious? Just the illogicality of the Tate derangement syndrome goes. It's like all logic and basic literacy goes out the window as soon as the idiot box or the mainstream media paints somebody as a bad person. They just jump on it, like the whole Orange Man bad situation. So here's the evidence that they use, and we're going to get into this. So let's listen to this clip of Andrew Tate talking, and then we'll break this down. This is the main piece of evidence they cite. So again, they've never heard of rap music. They've never browsed Reddit and seen what edgelords post. Like, these people are like seemingly born yesterday.
Bottom bitch, Vivian. Vivian's young. Got my main bitch, my bottom bitch, Vivian. Vivian's younger. So yeah, that's how it started. I met Vivian in Slovakia. We had a long-term relationship thing. I was living in England. I moved her to England to be with me to start doing my webcam company. When I bring on new girls, I usually pair them with Vivian. Because Vivian's younger. Vivian's like 21. So Vivian's been with me 6 years. She's completely head over heels in love with me. She wants kids with me, everything. So Vivian's been with me 6 years. Vivian's like 21. Vivian's younger. I'm fucking all these 16-year-old women or 18-year-old women, whatever the law is. Got my
So again, well, first of all, a bunch of people posted stuff and they said that this was like mashed up and they cut a few different pieces together. And that's not exactly what he said. But let's assume it is what he said. Let's give the retard maxers the benefit of the doubt. Let's just assume this video is not edited. And he said this. Before we get into the receipts of Vivian and etc., how many people say things for the sole purpose of triggering goofs? Now, if you really were guilty, again, it's just a thought exercise. I'm not claiming he's innocent or guilty. Again, you weren't there. You don't know what happened. You're just hallucinating if you think you know. So without being one of these low IQ hallucinating goofs, if you're really guilty, would you say this on camera? Would you say it on camera? If you're 100% innocent and you know you're innocent, would you say it on camera? Just typical thought exercise. Like, forget this type of crime because this is, this is beyond the pale. This is obviously crossing a certain kind of line. But let's say, would you say you stole something? Like, oh yeah, would you say you stole some gold from Fort Knox? Like, if you know you didn't do it, you know there's no possible way they could say, like, there can't be any, you've never even been to Fort Knox. So would you feel comfortable saying you stole gold from Fort Knox? Now, let's say you really did steal gold from Fort Knox. Would you ever say it? Just a basic thought exercise. Basics here, basics. Now, if you're truly psychotic, an absolute psychotic, with no semblance of reality, perhaps you would say it if you did do it. Maybe. Does Tate fit that profile? I don't think so, unless he has multiple personalities, which he might as well. But just from all, just surface level. Now, if your goal is to be an edgelord, if your goal is to generate as many views and triggered goofs as possible, drama equals eyeballs, would you say it even though it's not true? Because you know all the brain dead goofs are going to go up in arms and endlessly share this clip saying, look at this degenerate. Look at this scumbag who's admitting his crimes. And they fall for his trap every single time. I mean, Donald Trump does this as well, but to a much lower level. Like, Andrew Tate really takes being an edgelord to trigger goofs to levels I don't know if we've ever seen before in the history of human existence. Because, I mean, obviously, the majority of people would never say something this depraved, even for clicks. Well, the majority of highly intelligent people. Obviously, there's a lot of stupid people who would say anything for clicks. Karate Master 13 says, I say things all the time to trigger goofs. Yeah. Like, you know, all the retarded feminists and all of these libtards, they're going to be up in arms over this type of video. And he got exactly what he wanted. He got those views. He got that money from saying this. Now, so I'm not going to share the video, obviously, because even if it's a consenting adult, like, that's not the type of video I would share. So obviously, there's no evidence that it's not a consenting adult. In the video, like a lot of retard maxers on Twitter, I mean, there's entire dedicated Twitter accounts, anti-Tate accounts. I mean, they're mostly just these mentally disabled illiterates with humiliation fetishes. I think one of them is like Milk Bar TV or something like that. I don't know. They just keep sharing the video of this potentially consensual adult encounter, saying, and using the video that I just played with this text here, saying that it's like a 15-year-old, or it's, well, they say anything from 12 to 17-year-old. I mean, I don't know where they get these numbers. The girl in the video has a tattoo. I think it literally says Tate or something, Tate property or something. So in the UK, you have to be at least 18 to have a tattoo. Now, maybe she got the tattoo illegally. It's possible. But posting evidence of somebody with a tattoo is not, or posting a video of somebody with a tattoo, that's not evidence that they're under 18. That's potential evidence that they're over 18. Not guaranteed. Not guaranteed. But potentially somebody, most people, not all, obviously, you know, it's possible to get an illegal tat. It's not impossible. But the majority of people who have tattoos are over 18. So that's the evidence they post. Now, what's curious, and they claim her DOB has been established. So there's two issues here. They claim this video was posted in 2012 or whatever, when it was recorded. I mean, I don't know. They have all sorts of claims. But they've never provided the metadata from the video, which would be required. Again, people's words are not evidence. You would need metadata. So here's a post from a Tate supporter. Apparently she knew Tate. I don't know. But here's her post. The court documents have not shown that. You need the original video. The original video had been stolen. Andrew reported it as revenge porn in 2016. Vivian was 19 years old. No one has the original file with the original metadata showing the date and country of the creation. So the court cannot prove when the original video that no longer exists was created and what age she was. All they done is asked Slovakia for her birth certificate and confirmed her date of birth, not when the video was recorded. Stop spreading lies. And I'm not even sure they confirmed the date of birth. So there's two issues here. One, that this is the particular individual in question. Did they provide documentation of her DOB? Because saying they did and actually doing it are two different things. So all the retard maxers, the Tate derangement syndrome goofs, they hallucinate. It's been proven that her DOB is established. They cite, but they don't cite court documents in Slovakia. They cite an interview with her father. So again, a phone interview with who knows how much broken translation is not evidence of a DOB. That's why birth certificates exist. I can't even believe this needs to be explained. Like, someone saying something on the phone, like, that's not real evidence. You need a birth certificate, a driver's, not that those can't be fake. They could be fake too, but let's move that aside. You would need to provide documentation. Like, that's actual evidence. So I don't think that nobody's ever provided it. Now, if they did provide it, then they did, but nobody's proved that they did. Again, if it was that easy to prove, I mean, this sounds slam dunk, right? Like if they provided the documentation, they provided the date of the video. I mean, it's open and shut. These guys would be rotting in a Romanian prison, right? Like it's pretty open and shut if all this stuff is true. Unless we're missing another variable here. So that's a curiosity. So the girl in the video has a tattoo. And let's look at an interview from the girl in the video. If this is the same Vivian. Because if these are all simply adults, consenting adults in consensual encounters, the fact that everybody's wasting so much time on this instead of like focusing on the Epstein list, you know, like Obama, the Clintons, Biden, all these scum with documented photo and video evidence with children, like not, you know, people with tattoos, with actual children. Like it's crazy. And all these goofs only want to talk about the Tates. It's weird. If it all turns out that it was all consensual adults, I'm pretty sure none of these goofs would be issuing apologies.
So I'm basically just coming on here to share my experience with Andrew Tate. I've known Andrew for a while now, and I can say that he's a good friend of mine. I just want to put out there that everything you're seeing on the news right now is all false accusations.
Wait, the news? Something false on the news? Say it isn't so! Did the news report something that's not true? Whoa. Whoa. Say it isn't so.
For someone who knows him personally, I can confidently say that he's such a nice man. He's very generous. He's always been respectful of me and others around him. Like I've witnessed him in situations surrounded by women, men, children, families, and he's always respected everyone. Always very nice to people. Very generous, so kind. I think the media is just portraying a really bad image of him right now, and it's not fair because he actually generally is a really good person. I don't really have any bad things to say about him. He's helped me with so many different things. He's helped so many other people with so many different things.
And again, this isn't proof he's innocent in any way. Because you can find, you know, there's serial killers who can find people who they were super nice to, right? I'm just giving context here. Then I'll go, we'll watch a few videos and then I'll actually get into that. But just to be clear, this is not evidence of his innocence in any way.
So I think that you shouldn't have a strong opinion on someone that you don't really know, and
well, that much is true.
Especially based off things that media is posting, because I think a lot of us know that media likes to drag a lot of stuff for entertainment reasons. He's pretty much the opposite of what they're making him out to be.
Well, that wouldn't be shocking, would it?
And I also think it's a little concerning to see how easy it is for the media to sway people into believing lies and stuff that isn't true. Like I said, as for someone who knows him personally and who has been in many different experiences with him, I can say that it's all accusations, and he is a very good person and has always treated me and others around him with respect. So that's all.
Excuse me, are you one of the alleged Tate victims?
Yeah, I was listed as a victim, and the court wants me to claim that I'm a victim, even though I told them more than once that I'm not one. Tristan and Andrew were always very kind to me.
And again, shocking nobody. I mean, just look at, if you haven't seen my Columbine coverage, just check out how these corrupt scum investigators, like, they try to coerce children into changing their stories, saying they saw Dylan Klebold or Eric Harris when they saw other individuals that they knew personally. So to all the retard maxers hallucinating that so-called authorities or prosecutors, police, government officials would never coerce people to claim they are victims when they are not, or real victims that are victims, to tell them to change their stories about who actually harmed them by pointing the finger at innocent people. Now, again, I'm not saying that happened here, but all of these Tate derangement syndrome goofs hallucinate that it couldn't have happened. That's the level of retard maxing we just haven't seen before.
They helped me many times, and this is absurd. It's unreal how far corruption can go when there is money involved, and this is not normal. I really hope the justice will be made correctly, and these men will get to live the life they deserve. To be honest, I'm feeling more of a victim of DCOT because they are making me look like a human trafficking victim, and I don't want to be pictured like that. It's not fair.
De ce ești considerată victimă în
Nu
acest
știu,
caz?
și eu mă întreb. Și eu mă întreb același lucru. Este a doua oară când sunt chemată și nu am niciun motiv. Nu am niciun motiv să mă cheme, nu am niciun motiv să-i acuze pe băieți, pentru că n-am făcut nimic greșit. Chiar nu este normal ce se întâmplă.
Dar cum ți se pare faptul că sunt foarte multe fete care îi acuză de...
Unde sunt acele fete? Unde sunt?
În Anglia și în
Păi să
America.
vină până aici, dacă pe mine mă duc.
So that's interesting. So she's asking where are the girls that are accusing them, and the guy, it looks like the guy behind the camera said they're in England and America. So, but supposedly they said they were a bunch of Romanian victims too. I don't know.
Din Timișoara și poate să le ducă și pe ele din Anglia și să declare ce au de declarat. Eu le-am spus nu odată, nu sunt victimă, nu am fost niciodată victima lor. Am fost tot timpul bun cu mine, m-au așteptat când am avut nevoie și nu mi se pare normal să fie acuzați pentru așa ceva. Să vină persoanele care au acuzat și să spună, dar probabil că acele persoane nu există, de aceea nu sunt prezente și n-au fost până acum.
Cum te-ai cunoscut cu
Adică
frații
ar
tăi?
fi
În Timișoara
vizibile.
ne-am cunoscut în oraș întâmplător.
Și ai lucrat vreodată pentru ei?
Nu, am
sau-
colaborat pe partea de promovare pe social media. Da, nu au luat niciodată nimic de la mine, nu m-au forțat niciodată să fac nimic. Chiar au fost foarte buni cu mine tot timpul. N-am nimic rău de spus la adresa lor. Și sper să se rezolve dată tot circul.
If you're just listening, the subtitles are on the screen. I'm assuming they're speaking in Romanian.
Asta și să nu mai fie chinuiesc, că deja au trecut aproape 2 ani și le distrug viața.
So this is at the time of this interview, this was ongoing for 2 years, and this is the second time they called this woman, listing her as a victim, pretending she's a victim, telling everybody she's a victim when she's saying she's not a victim. It sounds like her rights are being violated. She should sue these corrupt officials, right?
Dar știi că sunt foarte multe fete din Marea Britanie care susțin că au fost
Ok,
violate,
ele-
că au fost traficate.
Și-au adus aminte după 10 ani că au fost violate când au văzut că sunt bogați și faimoși. Sau cum? Că până acum nu erau victime. De unde au apărut aceste victime?
Dar
Ca tine câte
pe
fete
tine...
sunt?
Nu știu. De unde să știu câte fete?
Câte fete ai mai văzut că au fost chemate tot la fel ca tine?
În sală, astăzi, au fost 2 fete care, la fel ca și mine, au spus că
So the interviewer asked her, were any other girls in court? And she said there were only 2 here, and they were like her, where they didn't want to be called anymore. I'm assuming, let's see what she says here.
nu mai doresc să fie citate și nu mai doresc să
Yeah, she's saying there were 2 that she knows about, and they're in the same situation she's in, where they're not victims, they don't want to be listed as victims, and it's all BS, according to these 3. So, again, obviously a real victim should have the right to anonymity to a certain point, right? But again, the only people coming out are the people saying it's BS. So we don't have a single public victim, alleged victim, that is claiming, other than Lauren Southern, the known liar Lauren Southern, who has all of a sudden has an Andrew Tate story herself. Oh man, and yeah, she's got a lot of mental issues now. Again, if this story really happened to her, she's saying she got, by her own admission, she got like blackout drunk, and then she went to go hang out with Tate to his either hotel room or the bathroom, whatever. I don't know, maybe they just wanted to play Jenga. Maybe this is like Desiree Washington in the Mike Tyson case where, these women, they just want to go to these private locations or hotel rooms with men. Maybe they really just want to play Jenga and they got taken advantage of. Anything's possible. But the sad part is, which I'll get into later, like real victims, a lot of real victims never come forward. And all of these fake victims, all of these false accusers that come forward, I mean, that's the reason a lot of real victims don't want to come forward. because they don't want to be thought of as, because there's so many fake ones. There's so many lying frauds that it paints such a bad light on it, and they don't want to be grouped in with the fraud, so they simply never come forward at all, which is really sad because then they don't get real justice. And in many times, the false accusers don't get, nothing happens to them, really. So there's no justice on either side, which is quite the shame. But that's what feminists want in a feminist world where you believe all women.
Clasate ca și victime.
Dar atunci tu, unde știi că ei nu ar fi vinovați sau
Pentru că am fost în preajma
nevinovați?
lor nu odată. Am călătorit cu ei. Tristan a fost în casa mea. Dacă ar fi fost ceea ce se pretinde,
Și când
aș
a
fi știut.
So this guy's acting, I don't know if he's soy maxing, whatever. He's asking her, how does she know if they're guilty or not? Now, obviously, she wouldn't know when she wasn't there. But she said she's traveled with them, that they've been at her house, and she's been around them a lot. She's saying she would have knew about it, or knew at least something, because she's saying she's been with them so often. But obviously, if it occurred not around her, she wouldn't know.
fost în acea locuință a ta. Care a fost comportamentul?
And maybe this guy isn't soy maxing. His tone is just weird, because now he's just asking what was their behavior towards her, even though she technically just answered this.
Nu-i față de tine,
unul
da.
impecabil, ca de fiecare dată. Mereu a fost
Nu ți-a
respectuos față de mine.
propus să faceți
Nu mi-a propus
dragoste sau
niciodată
sex
să
cu
fac
el.
nimic împotriva voinței mele și dacă e să ne
Ai
folosim
acceptat-o
creierul
cu
puțin și de deschidem ochii și ne uităm puțin la cum arată acești bărbați, nu cred că este cazul ca ei să forțeze vreo femeie să facă ceva împotriva voinței lor.
Adică,
Sincer, adică
pe tine au atras ei
Exact,
ca bărbați, nu?
exact. Da, amândoi,
Nu ca bani,
eu
nu?
sunt prietenă mai bună cu
Nu
Tristan,
ca
pe Andrew
bani.
îl cunosc din cauza că este frate.
Banii a contat în această relație că sunt milionari?
Eu
Sau
când ne-am
doar că
cunoscut nu eram
au
milionar.
atras
Când ne-am
doar
cunoscut
ca
eu nu
bărbați?
eram.
She's also, the guy's asking her if money mattered because they were millionaires. She said she met them when they were not millionaires, so that's interesting. So if she's known them for quite some time, that's interesting as well. Nobody has any comments in the chat? What's going on here? Is this entire stream being shadow banned?
Erau milionari.
Dar ce erau?
Erau oameni ca și
Amărâți?
ca și-
Adică
ca și-
nu aveau...
Nu erau amărâți. De ce trebuie să fii? Dacă nu ești milionar înseamnă că ești amărât?
Păi,
Înseamnă
nu,
că toată
dar-
România e
She's really roasting this goof. He's asking weird questions. Because he's like, wait, they were poor? And she just said, well, not being a millionaire doesn't mean you're poor. This guy's a weirdo. Is this guy like a real journalist?
Cum ai... Da!
She's literally laughing at this goof. So you're either a millionaire or poor. Those are the only options according to this interview. She's literally laughing in his face.
Românii sunt cam amărâți.
Da, mi se pare normal să încurajăm alți cetățeni cu posibilități financiare să vină în țara noastră când noi îi
Investească.
tratăm așa,
Da, dar
când le luăm bunurile și banii
Da, dar
și îi acuzăm de niște chestii fără nicio dovadă. Deci nu există nicio dovadă.
niște...
Păi și de ce
Plăceri.
crezi dacă nu există nicio dovadă că totuși de 2 ani
Unde
de
sunt
zile, cum ai spus
dovezile? Pentru că probabil cineva are un interes.
Cine crezi?
Nu știu. Nu pot să mă pronunț, dar cu siguranță este
Și acum a
au deranjat
instanțat...
pe cineva?
Eu așa consider. Este părerea mea.
So they asked her why they believe they were arrested. She said because someone had an interest. And the interviewer said they disturbed someone. I don't know the translation of disturb. Possibly offend.
Că cineva are ceva de câștigat.
She said someone has something to gain through their arrest. So politically, I guess. I'm guessing she's insinuating because of their online influence. Because again, some of these charges are very old, and we're going to get into this. Some of these UK charges are supposedly from 2012 to 2016 while they still lived in the UK. So they were in the UK for years. No case materialized. Like, that's kind of weird, right? Then all of a sudden, they're famous, then Romanian wants, and now all of a sudden, UK cares about the UK charges that they had every opportunity to prosecute but didn't? The whole thing's just weird, right? Now they're saying there's a whole bunch of new charges. The whole thing's just weird. Again, maybe they're guilty, but has any other case unfolded in this manner?
Courtul ți-a interzis să iei legătura cu ei?
Mie nu, dar din păcate lor da. Și
She said they banned them from talking to her? That's weird.
Din păcate, ce din păcate?
pentru că eu sunt prietenă cu ei. Eu vreau să țin legătura cu ei și nu pot. De ce?
Da,
Pentru
da.
că dincolo îmi interzice lucrul ăsta.
Da,
Când i-am
dar
spus clar că nu
știi
mi-am greșit cu
bine.
nimic.
Dacă
So that's actually kind of curious because, see, people are going to say the Tates paid her off or whatever. She's banned from now that doesn't mean they couldn't have had intermediaries pay her off. But if you notice, like the Tate derangement syndrome goofs, they only see corruption one way. Only Tate could have paid these people off, and the prosecution could not have paid or coerced anyone to speak against the Tates. Very curious there. Very curious. Let's look at a couple more videos here.
The last 2 years have been the last 2 years have been so horrible and tough on me. I can't even imagine what the guys must have been through. I was threatened by DCOT not to talk about the case and expose the corruption. They have even offered me money to declare that I was somehow a victim of crimes that never even happened. As a woman, it's horrible to be named a victim of human trafficking and having people assume that I'm a drug addicted and a prostitute.
I mean, if this is true, I mean, just think about this for a second. Imagine the level of corruption in Romania, which nobody's surprised about. I mean, there's a ton of corruption everywhere. Obviously, Romania is not exempt. But it's kind of interesting, right? Like, to speak out about it, too. Like, she must be afraid, but I don't know. Maybe the Tates offered her some kind of security detail or whatever, but it's pretty crazy.
I was never a victim, and I've said that day one. What the court have put me through was horrible, and I thought they were supposed to stop crimes, stop criminals, and actually save victims instead of naming them when they say, I'm not. I told them the 2 other girls were complete liars and that they have done this before and that they were false accusers. Day one, I've said that, and they still listed me as a victim anyway. And right now, I'm really, really happy for the outcome of the case, and I can't wait to see Andrew and Tristan again. I will be finally able to sleep better at night now that DCOT aren't harassing me anymore. Hopefully, this will all be over, completely over soon. And as I said, this is an international scandal, and I hope the whole world pays attention because it's serious. It's not a joke. And I do not wish anyone, not even my worst enemies, to ever go through what I have gone through and what they have gone through.
So yeah, it's not really, she's not just even focused on the Tates, she's focused on herself too, because, yeah, and so apparently she did not feel comfortable making this video until they stopped harassing her, until DICOT stopped harassing her. So what's curious here also is this just a case of ego, because they kept digging. So let's say DICOT had good intentions, maybe. Like if UK officials contacted the Romanian government and said, you got these 2 guys living there, they're criminals, this and that, and they just assumed they were telling the truth, right, without even really checking. So they do the arrest, and they expect to find just a ton of evidence to justify the arrest and the charges. And then when they come up dry, and there's actually no evidence, and it turns out, because apparently she said 2 of the girls are liars, and she knows them specifically. And I think Andrew Tate went over that as well. Apparently they have a defamation case in Florida, and it was supposed to go to trial within the next few months. Now they get arrested because they don't want... So again, if we're just going by time, this could all be coincidental. But if that case went forward and those 2 girls, that if they're lying, And they had lied in other cases, possibly one that resulted in the suicide of a man. And because they have a history of false confessions, allegedly, this is all alleged, I do not claim anything is true or untrue. If that trial went forward, how stupid would the Romanian and UK courts look? So what's their only play? They have to prevent that defamation trial from happening with the two main girls that apparently one of them called the embassy in Romania. I don't know exactly what happened, but apparently one of these two, there are two, according to the Tates, and according to all these girls, false accusers made up the story either to seek a payoff or whatever the case may be, a settlement of sorts. Maybe they didn't even know the government would react this way. Maybe they thought this could be a behind-the-scenes money, or maybe they tried to, I forget what the Tate said, that maybe they tried to extort money first and the Tate said no, and then they went, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. If they're exposed, and then all of Dicot's corruption and coercion and trying to force victims that don't exist in order to make up for the two fraudulent ones that they didn't know were fraudulent when they first made the claims, and they made Romanian government look stupid, can't have that getting out, so they have to prevent the defamation trial in Florida that would unravel all of this corruption, if that's what happened. Ducking felonies up in here, just left hospital, not enough energy to type much. Oh, hopefully your recovery goes swift, Ducking felonies, one of the greatest usernames of all time. So, yeah, but wait, there's more here. Yeah, hold on a second. There's a couple more videos here to go over. Just trying to make sense of the whole timeline because it's very, very critical. But how often do government officials not have their ego dictating everything? I mean, these goofs really dug their hole and were made to look stupid because it looks like there's no case, but...
Hey everyone, Jasmine here again. If you haven't seen or heard of me before, I'm one of the imaginary victims in Andrew Tate's case. Now, first things first, I've never actually been a victim of anything, and I've said it over 15 times to the police, but my statements keep getting thrown away. Now, 15 months after this whole investigation started, seeing that they have no evidence because there has been no crime committed, they started even faking conversations between me and other people just because they are determined to put Andrew in jail and to turn us against each other. Now, I remember quite well what kind of conversations I've had with those people, and none of them are real. Andrew, if you see this right now, I really miss you. I wish I could give you a hug right now. I wish I could talk to you and see you, but unfortunately that's not possible. And everyone, remember that this happened to Andrew and Tristan Tate. If this happened to them, it can happen to anyone. And the scary part is, are you gonna be able to survive it?
And here's one more from Vivian in the video.
Hi. I'm pretty sure many of you have seen a video of Andrew Tate beating up a woman.
There's a video from 10 years ago that showed me in a sexual act with one of my ex-girlfriends.
Listen, you stupid bitch. I didn't say the word listen. Did I say listen?
Hello everyone. I just wanted to say something about the video that's been released recently about me and my ex-boyfriend and
Also, again, isn't it so obvious Andrew's not really being serious in that? Like, if Andrew Tate gets violent, like, would he say it like that? He's such a, it's like, it's kind of obvious that he's acting that. Now, again, supposedly she's 19 in the video, according to Catherine Dior, which I have a video of Catherine as well, but...
Tate. Andrew is my still great friend. What you guys saw on the video, it's just what we used to do. It was just pure game. He's a great guy. He would never hurt anyone unless he's fighting.
And I'm pretty sure not so many of you have seen the same woman coming forward with a statement saying it was nothing but a sex play. So here I am again for the second time. Yes, the woman he has beaten up, and the same woman who has made a statement is me. So I'm coming forward for the second time to just clarify and let everybody know it was nothing but a sex play. Consensual foreplay that we liked doing, that I was into, that I wanted. It was not abuse. There was no physical domestic violence happening.
The other thing that's interesting is a lot of these retard maxers, they've never heard of all these women who like being choked, etc., and all these things. So would it surprise it? Now, again, if Lauren Southern really is telling the truth, I mean, I'm not saying she is or she isn't, but would anybody be surprised if Lauren Southern wanted Andrew Tate to choke her? And then after he got famous, all of a sudden she jumped on the bandwagon of all of these other people. Again, I am not saying that is what happened, but if that's what happened, who would actually be surprised?
It was a consensual sex play. This is the second time I'm making this statement because I'm getting sick and tired of being tagged saying I need to come forward again, even though I did, and I don't like seeing injustice of him being called woman beater.
Now, I can understand why she doesn't want to put her ID up, but if she did put a government ID up, just to clarify the age, that would be helpful, but she did not.
For the same video that I've already once clarified, it was nothing but a sex play. So, once again, nothing but a sex play, consensual. Thank you.
So, okay, one more video here, and then I'll give you my thoughts on the videos.
How it was like to be friends with Andrew and Tristan Tate, how it was like to perhaps be slightly romantic with them. Have they overboard you? Have they kidnapped you? And when I try to come to those people with sane mind and tell them that actually nothing happened, actually they are fantastic people and I still have a very positive opinion of them, they were deeply disappointed and they blocked me and they not allowed me to speak. So I felt very heavily silenced. That's why I decided to make my own video and share my personal opinion of them as my friends, and probably to stick up for them a little bit because there's so much negative information in social media and media in general as a whole, and there's so many lies about the case.
Okay, so the claim here, so these multimillionaires, if they're paying women to make positive statements, they could only find 4 or 5. Like, clearly they could afford to pay more than 4 or 5. Now, if they're not paid off, would more than these, like, 4 or 5 women, you know, they might not want to make public statements, right? For the effect, you know, they know how the propaganda machine works. They don't want harassment, etc. So it would make sense why most women would not want to come forward to make positive claims about the Tates, because they just don't want to be involved, period, right? Now, what's curious is there's not a single video, other than Lauren Southern, you know, who's got a lot of issues, there's not a single video of any of these Romanian models or any of these other webcam models of any kind of negative experiences. It's just kind of weird. It's kind of weird. And again, for the people that don't know, they had full CCTV in their entire mansion. So everybody's freely coming and going. And even the evidence points, it's kind of like with the Donald Trump thing, where they say he is admitting all these assaults. They're completely illiterate. In that famous clip where he's talking about what women let you do if you're rich and famous or whatever, they let you. It's called consent. With consensual adults in consensual activity is not a crime. But again, we live in satire reality now, where all these retard maxers hallucinate it could be. So yeah, even in those early videos, they're talking about, like, the Tate said, oh yeah, if they don't want to do it, then we just kick them out. Like, so all the women who didn't want to consent to the webcam, they kicked them out. So they left of their own free will because they didn't want to be involved in this enterprise, non-criminal enterprise, if it's all consensual with adults. But it's an enterprise that, you know, obviously it's seedy. It's, you know, I wouldn't call it an honorable enterprise in any way, and I don't think they would either. So you could totally say this, the Tates sold out for money. But the question here, were any crimes committed regarding the webcam models anyway? So again, Tate bragging about stealing all their money or whatever. Like, who thinks that's actually true? He's obviously saying that just to trigger the goofs and possibly to sound cool to adolescent boys. I don't know. For media clout, for the clicks. So the only of evidence we have available points to their innocence, even if they're guilty. even if they're guilty, the only evidence we have points to their guilt. So there is no metadata from this video. The girl has a tattoo on the video. You need to be 18 to have a tattoo in the UK. So unless she got the tattoo illegally, it would appear that she's older than 18. This other girl who knows the Tates is claiming that Vivian was 19 in the video. So there you have it. And then there's a whole bunch of like text messages and stuff that are alleged evidence against the Tates. But how would you know if it's role play or not? So it's kind of weird. Duck and Felony says, ow, can't laugh. Charges seem fishy to me. So, yeah, in a moment, I will get to what I actually... I will give a rare Bruce McGuire positive claim. I actually think they are guilty of crimes. But not any of these crimes. Because... And Tate talks about this, too. Like, are you guys... It just seems weird to me. If these are all real charges, would you talk about them in the way Tate talked? Like, it's almost like he's making a joke out of the whole thing. I've just never seen anything like this. So if this is a PSYOP master, if he's truly guilty, would he be openly admitting and saying all these things? Unless, of course, this whole thing is a PSYOP. Now, if he knew he would be arrested this whole time and put in prison forever... If though all the world's a stage and he's a disinfo shill and this is the role he has to play on the stage as part of the PSYOP and he's just enjoying it, then maybe. But how many levels of PSYOP are here? If we're just taking this at face value, and these are these two guys that ran a webcam model business with consenting adults, if they reach a certain level of popularity and sway while being anti-establishment, would they be targeted? Would allegations be manufactured against them? And the answer, obviously, is yes. If they were truly guilty and legitimate evidence existed, why wouldn't they already be rotting in a Romanian prison? It just seems weird. If it's that open and shut, like the Tate derangement syndrome goofs allege, if everything is proven with the ages and the non-consent, etc., like, why would they not already be rotting? So, yeah, it's curious. It almost sounds like Tate is like trolling 99% of the time with everything he says and does. It's almost like he thinks it's funny that all these people take what he says at face value. That's my read of like the past 10 years of him online, etc. So let's just really quick, I don't think I went over this in the false allegations podcast because a lot of goofs just pretend, so that 1 or 2% of allegations being false, that came from like a drunken judge at a bar. So that's what the feminist goofs latch on to when they hallucinate that only 1 to 2% of allegations are false. But let's get into the actual receipts here. So I went over some of this before. So this is for the Center of Prosecutorial or Prosecutor Integrity. Prosecutorial would sound cooler, though. So this was an official press release. 1/3 of sexual assault allegations in the criminal setting are unfounded. Call for renewed focus on fairness and due process. So May 10th, 2021, analysis of sexual assault allegations in criminal setting reveal approximately 1 in 3 unfounded. Black men are at especially high risk of unfounded allegations. Reports reveal the exact percentage of claims by jurisdiction. So you have the Midwestern city, Purdue University professor Kanin reported that police department concluded 41% of 109 allegations were false. And that's that there's also another percentage which may or may not be true. So just 41% were false, but that doesn't mean 59 were true. Out of the other percentage, a certain percentage were legitimate with evidence and got convictions, and then another percentage were unknown, where there was no evidence either way. But 41% were made up. 2016 study conducted at a police department in a southeastern state concluded 25% of 351 allegations were unfounded, with another 54% classified as uncertain. So, 25% false, and then 54% may or may not have been false. They couldn't be determined false or true. So that's 79% that were not definitively true. 79%. Which up to 79% could be false. So between 25 and 79%. In between that number. Pretty high. 21% were cleared by arrest. Well, actually, wait a second. Meaning the police forwarded the case for possible prosecution. So that still could be false. But there is evidence. But there's some kind of evidence. Colorado prosecutor Craig Silverman revealed any honest veteran sex assault investigator will tell you that rape is one of the most falsely reported crimes that there is. I mean, who doesn't know this? What kind of a retard maxer? Like, who's going to falsely report a murder? I mean, that's kind of weird. But, yeah, I would guess theft could potentially be false. But this guy's saying any honest, so this is a prosecutor, is saying any honest veteran sex assault investigator will tell you rape is one of the most falsely reported crimes that there is. A command officer in the Denver police sex assault units recently told me that he placed the false rape numbers at approximately 45%. So these numbers are all kind of lining up right around 40%, 40 to 50%. So potentially half of all are false. 2 analyses have been conducted at the national level. Innocence Project founders Peter Neufeld and Barry Scheck revealed FBI officials report that out of roughly 10,000 sexual assault cases since '89, 2,000 tests have been inconclusive, usually insufficient high molecular weight DNA to do testing. About 2,000 tests have excluded the primary suspect, and about 6,000 matched or included the primary suspect, so it may or may not have been the primary suspect. Depending on how inconclusive DNA results are classified, 20 to 40% of all sex assault cases were determined to be unfounded. I mean, these are crazy high numbers. DoD Sexual Assault Prevention Response Office analyzed sexual assault allegations in the military and found a steady increase in the percentage of cases deemed to be unfounded or with insufficient evidence of any offense to prosecute. In 2018, the percentage of such cases was 28% out of 2,854 reported cases. And they also sweep a lot of cases under the rug where they don't forward the report in the first place. So that is interesting. I wonder if there's a concerted effort for them to only forward the false ones, or primarily forward the false ones to make it look like there's less assault than there is, because obviously there is a lot in the military. So yeah, I mean, in all these cases, I mean, just think about what kind of scum you have to be to falsely report, because you're basically spitting on all the real victims when you do so. Like, yeah, they want to punish the men, but they're really punishing so many real female victims. It's so sad what feminism has caused. But these numbers are just so astronomically high. Black men are high risk. I mean, the Tates are half black, especially when the complainant is a white female. National Registry of Exonerations found that a black prisoner serving time for sexual assault is 3.5 times more likely to be innocent than a white sex assault convict. Professor Matthew Johnson furthermore reveals this increased risk of wrongful conviction is most pronounced in black defendant, white victim cases, with the prevailing sense of moral violation is commonly heightened among the largely white public. The 1990 wrongful conviction of 5 black men, known as the Central Park Five, is a well-known example of this troubling problem. Although times may have changed in that regard. In the college setting, the percentage of unfounded sexual assault allegations is higher than in the criminal setting, in the range of 40 to 50%. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. So, in the past, sexual assault activists, aka feminist retard maxers, insisted that unfounded accusations are rare. In her book, Against Our Will, Men, Women, and Rape, Susan Brownmiller asserted that only 2% of sex assault cases are false. This claim was refuted when it was revealed that her statistic was based on a casual comment made by a judge at a bar association meeting. And I saw another claim that it wasn't a bar association meeting. It was a drunk judge at an actual bar, but you could tell why that story could have got mixed up, right? Was the bar association meeting at a bar, and were they all drunk? Legal scholar Michelle Anderson likewise reported, quote, "No study has ever been published which sets forth an evidentiary basis for the 2% false rape complaint thesis." So all the studies are showing 40% roughly, 20 to 50%. To reduce the risk of wrongful convictions of sexual assault, the Center for Prosecutorial Integrity is calling for an end to the use of so-called victim-centered investigation, also known as trauma-informed or start by believing. Such investigative philosophies vitiate the presumption of innocence and bias the investigative process. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, if just follow the laws already on the books. Also, like, why, I mean, these fraudsters should be punished, right? Especially if, like, some of these innocent men are committing suicide. Like, it's crazy, but feminists don't give a crap about that. So yeah, let's go into our final stat here, which I went over this as well, but I don't think I went over the numbers here. So, I'll get the study in a second here. And this is a survey, so it's kind of crazy on what was admitted. Give me a second here. I gotta get the first page of this. Okay. So this is lies and imagined intent to lie, personality, sexism beliefs, and false claims of assault. So this is published in Current Psychology, Volume 42, September 9th, 2021. So, research on the issue surrounding false allegations of assault against men has largely based on review of official documentations, not on questions asked of the women themselves. This limits what we know about the variables that might contribute explanation as to why some women deliberately lie about having been assaulted. In our survey of 255 women, both college students and community members, 18 admitted they fictitiously claimed to have been assaulted, either to official investigators, and they should have split it up a little better, or to family and friends. Their motives included revenge, fear, and embarrassment. Our participants also rated the extent to which they could imagine a situation in which they would make either a new one or another false claim in the future. 101, 39.6%, over half of them rated this item positively to different degrees. So the ones that had previously made false claims, obviously they're going to do so in the future, but even the ones that hadn't previously made false claims could envision situations in which they would. I mean, just think about the insanity of that. So 7.1%, 18 of our participants admitted they had lied. So again, some of them might not wanted to have admitted this. So it could be higher, but 18 admitted haven't been assaulted to either friends or family to an authority figure. 78, that's 31%, stated that they knew someone who made a false claim to acquaintances or authority figures, with 16 of these women contending they knew 2 women who had done so, 10 claiming 3 or more. Think about the insanity. 10 of them knew 3 or more? So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They knew 3 or more claims? Oh man, that's crazy. So let's look at the exponential. Like, what does this mean? Now, obviously, this sample size of 255, that doesn't mean a lot. But these numbers are huge. Just out of a random 255, you already have these kinds of numbers. I mean, that's absolutely insane. That's insane. So let's look at the numbers here. So if these women don't know the same women, there's potentially 173.64 million women. So this would be in the United States. In an extrapolation of 69.46 million to 107.59 women who have made false allegations. This is crazy. This is crazy. Let me break this down a little further. Now, obviously, people know other people, so let's get the range here. But the number, I mean, this would be stratospheric numbers. And all the feminist groups who hallucinate that they wouldn't do this, that's crazy. So approximately 70 to 100 million women would have made false allegations. So 69.46 million to 107.59 million, depending on how many overlap. It's just such an astronomical number. And so the Tates, they only have 30? How many people are alleging claims against Tate? So here's the crazy part. If, welcome the Ant1, Jeff U1P says, I think he exaggerates in the videos where he tells to smack women, but just my opinion. Well, here's the thing, too. If they consented to be smacked, would he say, oh, I just wanted to smack? Like, would you really brag about somebody who didn't consent? Like, let's just for the sake of argument, if they consented and that's what they wanted, would he feel comfortable saying that? Or again, like my example with stealing gold from Fort Knox. Is someone going to be more comfortable overt bragging, edgelording for clout on the internet of something they know they didn't do? But here's the thing. Tate's kind of smart, though. He didn't envision that people would be paid off to say he did it. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Again, like, well, how many levels of PSYOP are there here? Jeff U1P says he is not dumb. He knows he would be incriminating himself. Jeff UNP say, didn't he install, just like Candace, dead man switches here and there, organic or planted stage? Oh, no doubt. Jeff UNP says, it may sound controversial, but before corn and filth, I think most men would not even get erected if the female is crying or showing signs of discomfort. It almost looked, in that video clip, it almost looked like Tate didn't really want to do it, like the S&M, and he was just doing it because she wanted to do it. Like, it looked like his heart really wasn't in it. Like, it looked like he was reading a script, right? Compare that to his conviction in his interviews. Like, I'm not talking about, like, webcam garbage. I'm talking about, like, his anti-establishment views and etc., just for the freedom of humanity. Like, it seems like he has true conviction there. In that video where he was, like, smacking or whatever, it almost sounded like he was reading from a script in a monotone voice. Like, he didn't really want to do it. And apparently, he's not the one that posted it. He's saying somebody stole it or whatever. Jeff UNP says, even if I wanted to, I could not do it physically. I bet he says in the beginning or end in his show always states it's for entertainment purposes, him committing. Yeah, we haven't seen the full video, so that would be funny. But again, these retard maxers, have they never heard of the rap music genre? Just because you say something doesn't mean it's true. All these people falsely confessing to, like, murders and all that, like, you know, words are words. Like, it's weird. It's weird. So, okay, are you guys ready for what I think they are actually guilty of? Oh, one more thing. If they really did commit crimes, like let's say they really did have victims, whether it's 1 or 5, if none of them actually came forward in this, but only the false ones did, I mean, they're just denying the real victims. Like, it's kind of crazy, right? Like, if these guys really are scumbags and they really did harm some people, regardless of age. I mean, not regardless, but even if they were over 18, obviously that's still illegal. You can't violate somebody's will. Like, so if there was non-consensual acts of any kind, and none of the real victims are actually cited in the court documents or listed or ever came forward, like, how messed up is that? It's just, yeah, the whole thing's so weird, but like with these incompetent courts and prosecutors and just the vast corruption. I mean, look what just happened in that case with the woman, like the cameraman who apparently he was just, the court refused to, they dropped charges against the guy for some kind of sexual assault, but then he harassed the woman who called him the N-word, and he's harassing her, walking her down. She says some mean words and she's found guilty. But the corrupt courts declined to even press charges in a case where he actually assaulted a woman. It's crazy. So yeah. So, okay. Let me get to what I think they actually might be guilty of. So again, the retard maxers, the Tate derangement syndrome goofs, they say, well, why would they move to Romania? Well, first of all, like, a lot of these crimes are supposedly in the UK, so clearly it wasn't just, if they could have stayed in they did stay in the UK for years after these original allegations. But they can't envision any reason to move to Romania other than to traffic people. As if there's no, like, the UK is a hotbed for trafficking, so is the US. Like, these retard maxers know nothing about human trafficking. I mean, London is a huge trafficking hub, as well as other cities in the UK. Huge. So is Miami. So is DC, obviously. So to think that the only reason they go to Romania, look, obviously they wanted to be rich and famous and all this stuff. So the money goes a lot farther in Romania. You can be a non-millionaire who still lives like a millionaire, and of course, taxes. You could also hide crypto and all that, because the UK started legislation with crypto. I think it was right around when they moved to Romania. So obviously they wanted to make a ton of money with crypto and not pay taxes. Now, to not be extorted by the government, to not have their money stolen by the government. So yes, on paper, that is a crime. That seems to be, now whether or not they were also committing other crimes, maybe they were. But to retard max so hard and think that nobody would ever move to Romania to simply not pay taxes on crypto? I mean, it's just kind of weird. Like, there's just like these single-digit IQ goofs. It's just crazy. It's crazy. Meanwhile, tons of criminals operate webcam businesses and traffic in the UK. They don't move to Romania. They do it in the UK. So, yeah, I think these guys were definitely involved in some kind of crypto schemes / scams, some of which may be illegal. There was also reportedly a casino they were involved with, because there's allegations of money laundering and organized crime within the Romanian case. I would say there is a possibility that could be true, right? With the online influence and the promotion. It's possible these guys got into bed with some Romanian gangsters. Now, the level of corruption in Romania is so extreme, who would be surprised if these Romanian gangsters wanted a bigger cut and the Tates said, no, let's honor the original agreement, and then all of a sudden they're getting arrested and they catch a case? Who would be surprised if that is what happened? You would think, with all of the countless CCTV footage in their house, if there was actual crimes that they were committing against these models instead of freely allowing them to leave, which I think they've actually even showed the footage. I think Myron Gaines of Fresh and Fit showed a lot of that security footage. I think they gave it to him. And he was also there for a while in Romania. They were freely coming and going. Now, that doesn't mean they weren't holding other people in the basement. Maybe they were. Maybe there's no CCTV in the basement. But again, the place was raided so many times. If there was actual evidence, they'd be rotting, right? So I think it's very possible that there's some kind of there's crypto scheming going on with possible connections to Romanian organized crime, and the Romanian organized crime, they have the prosecutors in their pocket, etc. So if there was some kind of business deal gone wrong between the Tates and these Romanian gangsters, the Romanian gangsters might have been the ones, because I think UK might have requested extradition and all this stuff for years, right? Maybe. And they didn't want to comply. But one call from the Romanian mafia, and if something went sour, and now obviously the Tates couldn't say that, right? I mean, that's grounds for getting killed, right? So that's just one of the theories I have, because obviously there's a whole lot of other stuff going on with obviously their online influence, the anti-establishment views, etc., etc. Jeff U1P says, in Romania, brothers rent out their female siblings all with consent of the whole family. It's a poor country, or they're trying to extort them. There's all sorts of weird stuff that goes on, but again, why, if you're the Tates, why would you open yourself up to that unless they're really, really stupid? It doesn't appear that they are. Maybe they are. Maybe they have split personalities. It just seems like they would do everything on the up and up regarding the webcam model business, right? Because if you don't, you'll get into serious trouble. And they want to be rich and famous, so they know. It's almost like they would have known they have to cross every T and dot every I. Otherwise, this happens. So that's why I think it might be a bigger possibility that something went wrong with the Romanian gangsters in that casino, and perhaps the Romanian gangsters wanted a bigger piece of the pie that was originally agreed upon, and these kickboxers said, no, let's honor the original agreement, and then all of a sudden they're catching a case. So there you go. Jeff U1P says, or they're trying to, so yeah. So, that's a good point too. They're corrupt government officials, possibly, if they were extorting the Tates and the Tates were not cooperating, because once these rich and famous guys, because they were really well known once they started, buying all the Bugattis and driving around town in Romania in their big fancy house, they would become well known and they'd be targets for government corruption too. It's just weird how these bootlicking retard maxers can't contemplate any situation other than the Tates are guilty of every single allegation against them. And there's a lot of allegations. Let's just get the full list here from the UK before we round this out. But again, I think it's very possible they could be involved in some kind of crime or crimes with crypto, Romanian gangsters, casinos, etc. And it's just the timeline of all of this is just so curious. And then the timeline of their defamation case in Florida against supposedly the two fraudsters that made the false charges. Also, what's kind of curious, do people not care about due process? So supposedly they've been in prison or in jail a total of 100 days. So over the past 4 years, not a single conviction and not even a single court start date. So that is unusual, right? Because if they're guilty, like, they need to, there need to be convicted. The evidence presented and them convicted. But here is the, here are the legal charges from the UK. So there's an extradition warrant that got approved. And a lot of goofs hallucinated must have been bulletproof to get approved. Obviously not. People pull strings. So there's allegedly 7 victims in the UK. I don't know if 2 of them are also the Romanian victims. I don't know. There's allegedly 7. So the alleged offenses occurred between July 2010 and August 2017. So I think August 2017 is when they moved to Romanian full-time, possibly. So what happened with the July 2010 charges, the 2012 charges, the 2014 charges, the 2015 charges? Why were they not prosecuted for those charges at that time? Because they're still living in Romania in UK the whole time before they moved to Romania. So none of the goofs can answer this question. So there's original charges and additional charges. So these original charges are from way back then. And so the new charges, so are these, when they say new, I don't know if they're talking about May 2025 and newer. So here are all the charges here. Assault occasioning actual bodily harm, controlling prostitution for gain, arranging and facilitating trafficking for sexual exploitation. Tristan Tate actually has a regular sexual assault charge that Andrew Tate does not have. That's curious, right? So this was an additional charge against Tristan only. Further assault occasioning actual bodily harm, 3 additional charges for Andrew. And then indecent images of a child, 19 for Andrew. So these are new additional charges for Andrew. So where are these new charges coming from? So this is not the Vivian video? So what? Well, it also says / extreme pornography. What does that mean? So that is not relating to a child? Because it doesn't say and or, so the / is or. Huh. And they didn't split those, so is it both of those things, different counts? And I wonder what evidence it is. So is this also a situation where their devices were hacked and something was planted on them, like with the Alex Jones, like when they attacked Alex Jones with that? Is that what this is? Because again, are goofs actually hallucinating that nobody would ever try to hack Andrew Tate's phone and plant stuff? Again, innocent or guilty? Maybe he's guilty of all these things, but are goofs really hallucinating nobody would try to hack his phone? I mean, it's just weird. Jeff U1P says, whole plethora of traps, taxes, technicalities, treason, you name it. Money goes a long way over there. Think those women said the accusations were made up from way back. Some of them, yeah. Like, so far, other than Lauren Southern, I don't know if anybody has been public against the Tates. And Lauren Southern, obviously, highly dubious claims there. So she got super drunk and then went somewhere for some one-on-one time with Tate, and then she said he was, I guess, overly aggressive or whatever. Well, that's another thing that's kind of weird. So, like, same thing with the Conor McGregor case that we went over. Let's say if a woman consents to, let's say, 6 out of 10 S&M roughness, and let's say Conor McGregor went 6.5 or 7, has a crime been committed? If they're both on drugs and drunk. So they can't accurately gauge. They can't throttle between a half and 1 point of what was agreed upon. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of weird, right? I guess it would come down to whether the intent was to, or like, let's say if they agreed to 6.5 and then Connor throttled to 6.6. Now, did he, and he did it on purpose to exceed what they consented to. That would be a crime, right? But if they're both drunk and on drugs and they can't accurately gauge the tenths of what is agreed to in a consensual rough encounter, like, how do you legislate that? I'm just asking that question. I don't know. How do you legislate that? So did Lauren Southern say she likes to be choked, but he choked her more than she liked to be choked? Is that a violation of consent? So I guess the question is, if he knowingly exceeded the amount she consented to, that would be the issue, right? So, yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. And then you have all these other cases where there's a clear violation of consent that nobody wants to talk about. But yeah, that's our logical analysis of the Tates. So perhaps they are guilty of some kind of real crimes with Romanian mobsters. I don't think anybody would be surprised if that were the case. Clearly they rubbed shoulders with some pretty important and powerful people in Romania, while also becoming extremely famous on the internet and being so anti-establishment. However, we can't ignore their father, Emery Tate, in the CIA. I went over the history of that as well. You can check that out on MINDSHOCK. Very perplexing. Donald Trump said he would not step in to stop their extradition. Is that good or bad? See, I don't know. I really don't know. Should they just be tried in international court with both, like, U.S., UK representation since they're dual citizens? I really don't know, because, I mean, should this be tried in international court? Like, I would almost lean yes, because you have UK and Romanian charges. You have supposedly two of the false allegers from Florida, and that was going to be tried in Florida. So you have 3 different countries and dual citizens involved here. Like, it seems like the more efficient thing to do would be to have an international court case. Because then Romania can present their charges, the UK, like, splitting it all up is so inefficient, right? Like, how do we get to the truth? How do we get to truth and justice the fastest? I think it should be international court. They should go to Switzerland or wherever and have their trial. And the Romanian prosecution can present their case. The UK prosecution can, and then the US delegation can deal with the defamation charges. Oh, Christopher Allen, I surely cannot read your comment about Lauren Southern. Okay. So that is my assessment, my logical analysis of the Tates thus far. Too many unanswered questions regarding the level of psyop the Tates are. Jeff UNP says, very abstract if you ask me. It's tough, yeah. Like, unless the women only consented to play Jenga in these guys' hotel rooms, and then they just violated the woman's desire to play Jenga and assaulted her physically. Because if Jenga was all that was agreed upon, then a clear criminal act has taken place. And they should be punished to the fullest extent of the law. And I would even go further than that. I would say their families could the victims' families could do what they want to these guys. I mean, has anybody, remember in Braveheart when, oh wow, spoiler, for anybody who hasn't seen the movie Braveheart, spoiler alert, one of the greatest movies of all time, I'm about to ruin it for you. So, when Mel Gibson's character, William Wallace, failed to protect the wife he married in secret, he kneeled before her father at the funeral, allowing the father to do whatever he wanted to do with him because he failed their daughter. Obviously, that's a different situation. He didn't intentionally violate the daughter. But that sentiment of the victim's family will do with the criminal what they see fit, I have a hard time, like, saying that's not justice, right? Instead of them getting some kind of cushy cell. Jeff UNP says, Tate's father comes across like an uncontrollable person. Not really CIA material, but I never looked into his father. Christopher Allen. What are you laughing at? LMAO? Oh, are you laughing at the Jenga or are you laughing at the Braveheart example? We got a little bit of lag here. What are you laughing at specifically? I mean, I don't know. The whole Mike Tyson grape case was really weird. Like, what did they think? Did Desiree Washington just want to play Jenga in his hotel room at 2 a.m.? Did Nikita, whatever, is Nikita Hand that woman's name? The accuser against Conor McGregor, did she just want to play Jenga? And then Conor McGregor said, nope, even though we just agreed to cocaine and Jenga was the plan, but now I'm going to physically assault you. I mean, what? It just doesn't really make any sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But again, obviously, true criminals need to be punished, not just to the fullest extent of the law, but perhaps further than that, by the victim's family, if they're real victims. And that needs to be established with logic and reason at the forefront and actual evidence, not online propaganda. Sarah Catherine, what is that face? Is that just a sad face? I don't know. Andrew Tate's father was apparently some kind of super genius, and yeah, it's pretty sketchy. Very sketchy. And again, Andrew Tate is one of the most inorganic individuals. Like, Tristan Tate, Tristan Tate never came off that smart to me. Like, he's not stupid. But Andrew Tate seems like some kind of super genius, and it's just it's so inorganic. Like, how is a guy that got kicked and punched in the head for a living that smart? It doesn't make any sense. Karate Master 13 says, a lot of women like to play Jenga around celebrity men. Oh, you haven't seen Braveheart, Sarah Catherine? Really? If I had to pick the greatest movie of all time, not necessarily my favorite, I don't know, Bloodsport, we might have to go Bloodsport for that one, but greatest movie of all time, I mean, that's one of the few times the Academy Awards actually picked it correctly. Like, it's hard to pick against Braveheart. I mean, it happens early in the movie, and I think the trailer reveals it, so it's not like a real spoiler of what happens in the end or anything, but yeah, that's why I said spoiler like 10 times, so people could have skipped that part. Oh, Christopher Allen says, I was laughing at you not reading my prior comment. Yeah, well, opinions differ on Lauren Southern, let's put it that way. But yeah, that's all there is to cover thus far. Supposedly, extradition appeals, it could be up to 6 months. So they might be sitting in a U.S. jail. Supposedly, are they in the same place that Epstein was kept? I'm not sure. Andrew Tate says that there's a cannibal in the next cell over. Jeff UNP says, the judge is not stupid. He or she will consider the fact she went late into the night to a hotel room with a man. Well, apparently the Mike Tyson judge did not consider that, and neither did the jury. Yeah, here's Andrew Tate's tweet here. So I'm not sure, again, presumably this is not him, right? Because he doesn't have his phone with him. You would think he would not have access to his phone. So I wonder if he simply told his lawyer to tweet this or whoever. Day 6 in special housing unit. This is punitive housing for people who murder their cellmates. No commissary, no phone calls, no yard time. The worst possible conditions the U.S. government provides to terrorists and psychopaths. I am innocent until proven guilty. Extradition detainee. I'm wanted by a foreign state. I am an American citizen. Why am I here? All good questions, right? All good questions. I guess it was a different tweet where he said there was a cannibal next door or something. There's a cannibal in his next cell over. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Like, Andrew Tate's life would make a phenomenal movie, wouldn't it? Like, good or bad, like, even if he's guilty of all these crimes. I mean, people make movies and glorify, like, Dahmer and all these people. I mean, presumably he hasn't killed anybody, but who knows? presumably. But yeah, a movie about this guy's life would be insane. Everything from like the kickboxing career to Big Brother. Oh man. Jeff U1P says Plant gone rogue maybe. Actually, that's one of the best theories I've ever heard. That is a Jeff U1P. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Plant gone rogue. So here, my theory about Alex Jones. Wow. Jeff UNP, you might have just connected more dots than I could have connected. So one of my Alex Jones theories. So he was young. He gets his own radio show out of nowhere because his father was a dentist for CIA agents or whatever. I went over that in the one of the last Alex Jones podcasts. Okay. On whether or not Alex Jones is an imposter going into history. And then I did a different podcast on whether or not Alex Jones is Bill Hicks regarding the strange issues of Alex Jones's age. But anyway, I wonder if Alex Jones got into this not knowing he would be compromised or whatever. And then eventually he got a visit and he was told what he could and couldn't do. And he agreed for threats to the family, whatever. And then eventually it was too much. He went rogue. He went off script. And then that's when the incident in Connecticut trial happened to get him back in line. And that now he's kind of, it's almost like he's oscillating. Like he goes back and forth on that line, deciding how rogue he wants to go. But in the case of Andrew Tate, I do wonder if he was an asset. And at a certain point, he couldn't take it anymore. And he went rogue. And then the arrest happened. That's how it would happen for an asset gone wrong, right? That or they just killed him. They would just kill him. But if they still see him as a valuable asset, I do wonder, because in his last interview, he claimed they offered him $50 million to not pursue the defamation case in Florida, because obviously that would dismantle the other cases. He declined it, but according to him, that's his story. So I do wonder if he's an asset that they still have use for. Would they not want to kill him and just continue threatening him with the jail time? That is interesting, isn't it? That is interesting. Christopher Allen, the charges, I just had the charges up. There's a long list of charges. So apparently money laundering is not on the list for the UK, but it is in Romania. These are the charges they were picked up for the extradition warrant. These are charges from July 2010 to August 2017, including new charges. Additional charges, Tristan, sexual assault. Additional charges for Andrew, further assaulting or occasioning actual bodily harm. And 19 new charges for Andrew only on indecent images of a child or extreme pornography. 59 total charges between the two of them. Original charges going all the way back to July 2010. And supposedly 7 victims in the UK cases, not counting the alleged Romanian victims. So apparently some new information came forward, right? So did somebody hack their devices and plant images or stuff? Who knows? Karate Master 13 says Plant gone rogue makes... That's the most... You've practically... I don't know why I didn't even consider that with Andrew Tate. I was talking about with Alex Jones because that could explain Alex Jones' behavior. Plant gone rogue is perhaps the best theory I have heard thus far on the personality that is Andrew Tate. Because it's almost like he's trolling like 99% of the time. I mean, it's just so weird, right? Jeff UNP says, could easily be a mockingbird harp psyop startup. Jeff UNP says, it's also possible he grew organic and all those years he kept turning them down. I'm just, how does a guy who gets kicked and punched in the head, how is he that smart? I mean, I guess genetic predisposition, although I wonder if he was MK Ultra'd through his father and Tristan Tate wasn't, right? No offense, Tristan, but Tristan's no Andrew. Like, Andrew Tate, his intelligence is just off the charts. Christopher, I just put it up on the screen. How much of a lag is this? Make sure the red dot is next to where it says live, next to the volume. If the red dot is not there, that means you're lagging behind. Click live and it should bring the red dot in. So, yeah, I wonder if Andrew was MK Ultra'd as a child, because we actually went over, there was actually a newspaper article with Andrew Tate as a child. I went over it. Yeah, if he was MK Ultra'd as a child supplied by his father, and he was practically engineered for this, that potentially could make sense. Here is young Andrew Tate, 6-year-old Emery Andrew Tate III. And so this was an article, Chess Family Strives to Keep Pressure of Game in Check. And I don't think it says anything about his father being CIA here. But his father was like a big-time chess player. So again, it's curious. Again, no offense, Tristan Tate, but Tristan is no Andrew. Andrew Tate's has genius level intellect, and the way that he just breaks down the matrix, etc. Plant gone rogue is a fantastic theory, Jeff UNP. Jeff UNP gets all the brownie points tonight. Jeff UNP says, plus Candace had an interview with his and she is so connected, thinks she knows it all. BS, Candace is one of the most controlled and inorganic. Jeff UNP says, yes, both MK. You think his brother was MK? His brother just, I've watched a couple of interviews. Like, he's funny. He's kind of funny. And he makes, like, you know, he trolls pretty hard too. But he doesn't have these kind of astute observations and breakdowns that Andrew Tate has about the establishment, just sociology, psychology, how it all comes into play, how the collapse happened. I mean, Andrew Tate, it's like he knows way too much. Like, you can't... A kickboxer is just not that smart. He must have been MK Ultra. Jeff UNP says, believe me, I know people on subliminals. They are typical like those people. So anyway, yeah, plant gone rogue. Wow. I think, yeah, we might have to go with that. We might have to go with that. So if they're still useful assets, I guess they're just trying to break them. If they don't break, what happens? I guess they would kill them, right? I mean, that's what Andrew's been saying the whole time. Like, the conviction with which Andrew Tate speaks, again, innocent or guilty, regardless of the past. I mean, it's, you would think, so here's the other thing, right? You would think if he was a plant, shill, whatever, CIA, MK Ultra operative, how would they not have compromising footage of him, like Epstein-like, in order to force him to play ball? Is he really that smart, like he checked every single model's government-issued ID? Maybe he did. Maybe he did. I mean, you would think they have compromise, or who knows, maybe that original leak, regardless of whether she was 19 or not, when he was on Big Brother, maybe that was the message to get him activated, right? Because he was pretty young back then. Maybe that was the Andrew Tate activation. I don't know. It's all very weird. And then what is with his metrosexual dressing? It's almost like it's just weird. It's like humiliation ritual, right? If he is one of them, like if he's not one of, I mean, I don't know. Or maybe it's a troll. Maybe it's him trolling them and giving them some kind of weird messages that we don't even know about. But yeah. Jeff UNP says, I think he beats Andrew with chess. Even if he does, like, Tristan just, he's not as good of a speaker and he doesn't demonstrate his, okay. Jeff UNP says, the silent ones most of the time are the smartest. You think Tristan is smarter than Andrew? That would be curious. I just haven't seen it. He hasn't demonstrated it. But yeah, you make a good point. if he's the true genius behind the scenes while pretending not to be. I don't know. All right, well, that's going to round it out for now. So apparently it can take up to 6 months for them to be extradited. So this might take a while. And we'll be covering it, but I also think it's very telling how all the goofs came out of the woodwork in droves to retard Max and pretend they're definitely guilty. And they just check out my Twitter. Their humiliation cope spirals go for days on their illiteracy being demonstrated on Twitter. Jeffy1P says, especially with the dead man switches. It would be curious. Andrew Tate probably has the most legendary dead man switch thus far. Can only imagine. Can only imagine. But here's the thing. At this point, we're living in satire reality. Even if all of this got released, like, would they care? I mean, look what's in the Epstein files with the, the cannibalism and the satanic ritual, occult ritual. Like, nobody gives a crap. So yeah. All right, then. We'll be continuing our updates. Thanks again, everybody, joining us for another examination on the MindShock podcast. If you want to help support the podcast, you can do it to our PayPal. Check the link in the description. Make sure you're subscribed, like, and share Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Patreon. This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.